Yeah, I'm always disappointed by Carl's comments, to be honest with you. Like, you know, I love Carl Froch, and you know, he's been such a great ambassador. We had a great time together, but.
This is Danny Gaffon for Pro Boxing fans in Quebec City. Just had the final press conference for Artur Beterbiev versus Callum Smith. Eddie, thanks for giving me a bit of your time, mate. As I said, you had a bit of technical issues. As lovely as Quebec is, it's 8.5 hours it's got here. It was a terrifying experience sitting in the plane looking outside. Would have been a bit more convenient in Liverpool, but we're here. Just how much are you looking forward to Saturday night?
Yeah, we just lost out on the purse bid. I was gutted because I really wanted to do this fight in Liverpool. I was here 10 years ago for Tony Bellew against Adonis Stevenson. It's a beautiful place. It's very cold. But I'm here because, one, it's a great fight. Two, we've represented Callum since his professional debut. And three, because I think he's going to win. I really do. I know it's, I see it as a 50-50 fight. I think others might see it as a 60-40 or 70-30, whatever. But I just believe he's going to win the fight. And I think it would be a really intriguing fight on Saturday.
I'm not sure I've ever seen you as confident when your fighter's on paper against pound for pound star, one of the most fearsome reputations in the sport. What is it that makes you so confident that Callum can get the job done?
There's like a feeling, it's going to sound really weird, but it's just like a feeling that you have almost of, not necessarily fate or timing, but just having seen everything over the years, having watched Beterbiev. We used to promote Beterbiev. When we did the Callum Johnson fight, we had a deal with him. And Callum Johnson hurt him really badly with that left hook. And that was nearly 6 years ago. Having watched him since then, having watched the Yard fight recently where Anthony did really well in that fight, I don't know, the injury, the jaw injury, a few bits of controversy this week, just fancy it. I don't know, and I can picture it. Sometimes you go into a fight like this and secretly you kind of ask yourself, how are we going to win? I know Callum Smith can knock him out. If he lands clean on Beterbiev, he will knock him out. But Beterbiev is also very dangerous. He's actually technically better than people give him credit for. He cuts the ring off very well. He has a tremendous output as well. And it's not going to be easy, but I just see it. And I'm as confident as you can be in a 50-50 fight. I think that's a good way to explain it.
A lot of those who don't believe Callum will pull it off reference the Canelo Alvarez fight. I think it's fair to say he's the only other fighter Callum's fought who's on the level of Beterbiev. Callum said up there he feels he's a much improved fighter since then, obviously up at 175 pounds and looked destructive since doing so. Do you think there's other improvements in Callum Smith since then, apart from just being not dead at the weight? Do you think he's improved as a fighter all round since the Canelo fight?
I think the link up with Buddy's been excellent, but I think the main thing, there's two things from that Canelo fight. One is the weight. Down at 168, he's massive. You see the size of him next to Beterbiev, and that's been a big factor in turning on his power at 175. And two is just that belief. You go out in front of how many thousands were there that night and you fight Canelo Alvarez. He didn't look like, especially at the weight, a guy that really truly believed he can do it. Up at 175, you look at his knockouts against Castillo, you look at his knockouts against Baldalic, and I know they're not Artur Beterbiev, but they've been put to sleep. And he's punching very hard. Very hard. So I think there has been improvements for sure, but the main thing is a little bit of the experience, but certainly the weight. I think that's a big difference.
You mentioned in one of your earlier answers to me the bit of sort of late controversy. That was, of course, the reports that Beterbiev, I must get my wording right, returned an atypical finding in a VADA test. You've talked to death about it, so we'll not go too in-depth in this interview. Just when did you hear about it? Was there ever any doubts that the fight would go ahead? And what is the difference between atypical and adverse?
That's a good question. I mean, look, I think it was middle of December, we were made aware by VADA that Artur Beterbiev had an atypical finding, which was raised levels of HGH and androsterone or testosterone, anabolic steroid, whatever you want to call it, in his system. Now, when you get those results, the first thing you go is, fuck me. And then you speak to VADA, who confirm, and I think it's important to confirm, it is not an adverse test result. But there are raised levels of those substances, which makes it very concerning. As we're told, that's something that can happen naturally. There was no additional testing around that set of results, which was, I personally feel a little bit disappointing, but there was additional testing after, a week later, which was negative and no atypical. So the spike was there for that test, but not in another test. For me, I'm glad this information came out yesterday, because it's very difficult not being the promoter of the show, not being your fighter, and I would have liked the information to come out a little bit earlier, because I would have liked the discussion to be opened up. I understand that people don't want the information to come out, and I've been in this boat before, because people will accuse fighters of something, and again, I stress this is not an adverse finding, but as having the opponent in the other corner, when you're told that there's raised levels of HGH and testosterone, of course it's concerning for us. And we've wanted a little bit more answers from VADA, but it's not affecting the fight, because contractually it's not a fail. So why is and I don't really like atypical, and I like negative and positive, and this isn't positive. But this isn't, it's a negative with some concerns. Do you know what I mean? So, it hasn't been ideal. And, I just feel like, and I don't want to sound like I'm sulking, but if this was my show, if this was my fighter, how much would I get grilled on it? No one's really even talking about it. And I think we need to talk about it, because we need to understand more. And fighters need to be protected. If this is just a natural thing that's just happened, that's concerning. So we're always learning, we're always evolving, but the conversation the questions have to be asked.
How does Callum feel about it all? How much have you spoke to him? Has he any concerns?
Again, I think when the information come out, there's definitely a decision you have to make in terms of if you want to go ahead with the fight. That's why we want to get further information, and have been, and Sean O'Toole, his lawyer, and STN have been doing that job to make him feel more comfortable. At the same time, we know that contractually we can't pull out of the fight because it's not an adverse finding. And he wants the fight really badly. So I think in his mind it is what it is. Do you know what I mean? But for us, we want to protect our fighters and protect Callum Smith. But he's confident, he's happy, he's not thinking about it, he's ready to fight.
Lastly, on Saturday night, where would this rank for you in terms of wins by a Brit, particularly on away soil? I've heard you in earlier interviews say you don't think it'd be that much of an upset, but still be a seismic win. I've seen people compare it to Honeyghan against Curry, Fury against Klitschko.
No to both, because one, Lloyd Honeyghan didn't have a shot against Donald Curry, and it was a knockout from the gods. Again, even if you want to be really critical, you might call this a 70-30 fight. Honeyghan never had a chance. I didn't think Fury had a chance against Klitschko. That was an amazing win as well. So this would be a great win, but it wouldn't surprise me. Those wins really surprise me. But again, I'm part of the team, so maybe it might surprise others. But it'll be a massive win, because Callum Smith will become a 2-division world champion. He'll be unified at 175 £, and it will set up the fight with Dimitri Bivol, which, if he can knock out Artur Beterbiev, you give him a great chance of winning.
Just moving on to a couple of other topics, just a small matter of Anthony Joshua, Francis Ngannou. Like these Saudi fights all have seemed to be agreed in double quick time. It was out of nowhere, report, announcement, and we've got a fight. Talk to me a bit about how it got made, and you must be really excited about it.
Yeah, December 23rd, we'd all signed contracts to fight Deontay Wilder. We'd signed, Wilder had signed, and we were announcing it that night. And I still see people saying, Eddie Hearn's so glad that Wilder lost, because we'd signed. It was a massive fight. We wanted that fight so badly. But after the fight, obviously, His Excellency had a hole in that schedule, which was, what we're going to do now. And we spoke, and he sort of said to me, what's the biggest fight that can be made? I said, it's Joshua Ngannou. I've always said that since the Fury fight. It's a massive fight. And he agreed, and we moved at pace to get that fight made. And one thing that we're finding in Saudi Arabia is, when there's a vision to make a fight, it happens very quickly. And this week they'll shoot the promo, and there'll be a press conference next week, and then we'll gear up for another huge show on March the 8th.
As you might expect, bit of a mixed reception. There's some people see it as a live fight based on what Ngannou done against Fury. Others see it as an easy touch for AJ. Carl Froch has described it as a cash grab, doesn't see it as a competitive fight. It's not the first time Carl's had a bit to say about shows put on by yourself, Anthony Joshua fights, so have you. What do you make of Carl's comments?
Yeah, I'm always disappointed by Carl's comments, to be honest with you. I love Carl Froch, and he's been such a great ambassador. We had a great time together, but he talks about a cash grab. I mean, he's been looking for a cash grab for the last 10 years, really. And I don't see it as a cash grab because of what he did to Tyson Fury. I hope it's, those people who tell us it's an easy touch and it's a cash grab, I hope they're right. I hope Carl Froch is right. But I think there's a huge amount of jeopardy in the fight. And in the heavyweight division, it's very different. It's not like these guys are middleweights and one guy can't hurt each other. And Ngannou has very heavy hands. He's super strong and he has no fear. So on paper, AJ should be too good for him. But you know that every time AJ throws, Ngannou's going to be throwing with him. He's going to try and walk him down. He's going to try and knock him out. And I just want this fight done and dusted. Like when this fight's over, whether it's the final bell and he wins on points or whether Ngannou's out on the floor, I'll be over the moon. Because there isn't much for us to gain in this fight. Financially, we understand, but really he wants to go on and look. If Fury can beat Usyk and AJ can knock out Ngannou, you got yourself the biggest fight of all time. So, fingers crossed.
Commercially, what's a bigger fight? Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk, or Anthony Joshua, Francis Ngannou?
Good question. Look, they're both two tremendous fights. I mean, Fury Usyk is really, although it's going to appeal to the casuals, it's a real fans fight. I mean, look, you got arguably the pound for pound number one in Alexander Usyk, an absolute legend of the sport, undisputed cruiserweight world champion, unified world heavyweight champion. You got the maverick of Tyson Fury, who I've written off so many times. I didn't think he had a chance against Klitschko. I didn't think he had a chance against Wilder. I think he might be the underdog against Usyk. I'm not quite sure. A lot depends in this fight about what he has left. So commercially, I don't know. There's a huge amount of jeopardy in Joshua and Ngannou. And when you see Ngannou and Joshua next to each other, weighing in, it's going to be a sight to behold. But I love both fights and I'll be ringside for both.
Couple more quick ones, Eddie. Wouldn't be doing the folks back home if I didn't bring up back to Belfast again. Lewis Crocker, Jose Felix, really interesting fight. Should be an absolute barnstormer on paper. Is this like a sort of audition for Lewis Crocker for a matchroom contract? Put in a good performance against Tyrone McKenna.
It's kind of like opportunity knocks. We wanted a show on January the 27th. We looked at different places to do it and availabilities of venues, and I really liked what I saw in Lewis Crocker against Tyrone McKenna. I was up close for that fight and I saw the power of Lewis Crocker, the excitement. I thought, I like this kid. I think he's a 147-pound fighter that is very exciting and punches very hard. Then all of a sudden you got Tommy McCarthy agrees to fight Chev Clark. You've got Paddy Donovan needs a fight. Is
McComb, you getting that card as well?
Yeah, but there's a problem with McComb, which we'll announce a replacement for that shortly. And it happened very quickly. Now, all of a sudden you're speaking to Lewis Crocker. He'd take anyone. I said to him, what about David Avanesian? No problem. Right, he wanted a lot of money. Well, Jose Felix, great fight for him, coming off the Gary Cully win. No problem. There was no one he said no to. And I thought, I like this. The difficulty that we had is venue. Because
it moved to the Ulster Hall, didn't it, this week?
Which I love, by the way. It's one of my favourite venues. But we wanted to go to the Odyssey. Odyssey wasn't available. We needed something, 2,000 or 3,000. We went to the sports complex, which unfortunately...
What's that hold, like 500-600?
No, like 2,500. Yeah. But unfortunately, wasn't available in time. They had works to finish and it just wasn't going to get done. Thank God Ulster Hall come up and said, we can do it. Because I've had some great nights there with my old man, and that only holds 1,500. But they've all sold out already, the tickets. But we needed a venue, and we're going to be there. And it's a big night for Lewis Crocker, really big night. If he beats Jose Felix, we're going to be looking to do more work with him. And I think he's ready to fight, to jump in and take his chance. A lot of those fighters are, Padraig McCrory, another guy. Straight away to Edgar Berlanga. And there's a real buzz for Irish boxing at the moment.
Last one, Ohara Davies. Some of the olive branch has sort of been extended between you two over the past year or so. Really tough night for him against Ismail Barroso last weekend. What did you think? Where does Ohara go from here? It's a bit hard to watch.
Yeah, I think it's just boxing. It can happen. And I think when someone's outspoken, you get a lot of people come out and start, ha. I'm glad this happened.
Did you see Fowler and Sonny Edwards?
Look, each to their own. One thing that I've learned over the years is I want to stay far away from all that shit as possible. At the end of the day, everyone's trying to do their best. Everyone's out there to try and improve their life, provide for their family, chase their dreams. And I don't feel like you can ever criticise someone who got themselves, as a kid from Hackney, right, who had very limited opportunities growing up. He's carved out a great career. He's ended up signing with Golden Boy. He's fighting for the World Interim Championship in Las Vegas. He made a lot of money. Fucking good luck to him. You know, he's won already. But in boxing, you can, I wouldn't even say he was embarrassed, but you can get, you know, unfortunately, it's very raw out there, and it can unfold very quickly. And he got knocked out in the first round without throwing or landing a punch. And you will get people, I mean, forget the boxers who are having a go at him. Like, when you got people, and sometimes I get criticised, people say, oh, you have a go at people on Twitter. Like, if you really want to start trolling Ohara Davies for losing that fight in Las Vegas for a load of money for the World Interim Championship, having come from where he's come from, like, what are you doing with your life? What have you achieved? You know what I mean? But also, when you give it the big one, like Ohara has for years, it comes with it. It's only the same for me. I'm going to be outspoken. Jack the lad, this, that, blah, blah, blah. I get dog's abuse. It's just life. It just comes with it. But I would rather say, well done, Ohara Davies. Make sure you invest your money wisely, pay off your mortgage, and hopefully you can go again and leave the sport at some point financially secure and live a great life.
Eddie, cheers, speaking to Pro Boxing fans. Hopefully speak to you again this week. Nice one, Ed.